Welcome to Slow Down to Go Faster podcast, living and leading intentionally. I am here with my bubbly wife, Maggie Simone. See, when I try to do something different, then you start laughing.
Sorry, I appreciate the effort. I applaud the effort.
I'm experimenting, which is part of
making it happen.
Make it happen. Right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And one of the things that we wanted to do, Rennie and I, with the book is we wanted to get people into action before they were finished reading it. I think, theory is good, but practice is even better. Putting that theory into practice. And so in this chapter, we take people back to their true north, their sense of purpose, and we have them just do two things. And this is really important, and I'd love our listeners to do these two things right now. One is to identify something that is important to you that you have recently neglected and make a commitment to doing it.
What's yours? Do you have one?
I do. And one of the things that I've recently neglected and I have planned to take action, but it's still in the theory form, is reaching out to some old friends. People that I went to school with, people that I have not been in touch with in a long time. And that's something that is always energizing to me. I always feel good about it. Usually, it's a lot of laughs in it. And so that's one thing. And to make room for that thing, so the second thing that we wanted people to do, and we'll ask our viewers to do this, is to take something out of your schedule, filter something out that it's getting in the way, that's no longer serving you, that's no longer making you feel good, right? That's energy draining, perhaps, not energy gaining. Take it out or take it out for now. Because as we think about impacting our life and the lives of others, it starts with intention. Then we need to pay attention to the things that we're doing or not doing, the thoughts that we have that are either self-enhancing or self-limiting. Then we take action. And then there's adaptation, right? Every action we take doesn't necessarily yield the outcome, but we learn something from it. So we adapt, and then we repeat. But it's being clear on less is more, fewer intentions, paying attention to what's moving you towards that or getting in the way. One of the things we say about a leader's primary role is to find out what people are really excited about that gets them to engage in the work, and find out what they're really concerned about that prevents them from being more engaged. As a leader, if you can do that and only that, you will have an engaged workforce.
We talk about leadership in my public speaking class when we do group speeches. I think a lot of young people have a misperception of what leadership is and often think it means taking charge. And when we're talking about group speeches, we're talking about students doing something that many of them absolutely do not want to do in the first place with people they don't necessarily know. And combine that with, maybe they're introverted or socially awkward. So working with people they don't know in a group speech can be very, very unnerving. And I tell my students when their groups are assigned, be a leader in your group, but understand that what a leader does is bring the best out of everybody else. Doesn't mean you take charge. It means if there is someone who's particularly shy, bring out their ideas, because everybody has ideas. Everybody knows something that you don't know. And we do exercises with the group, the Lost in the Desert type exercises, Lost on the Moon, because some people know that there's no, a match isn't going to light on the moon, or that, brown bears you need to run from, but black bears you need to stand up to. People have hobbies, they have interests, and in a group setting, you don't know who knows what. A true leader is going to bring that out of everyone in the group.
And I think that speaks to a number of things in this chapter. First of all, you don't need the title leader to take those actions, to make something happen. We at Emergent believe everyone's a leader. The only question is, how well are you leading? And we define leadership as inspiring and influencing purposeful action, participation. That's influencing or inspiring
Yep.
purposeful action. Doesn't come with a title, doesn't mean taking charge, but it does mean experimenting. It does mean doing something. It's connecting people, it's connecting activities. And so break it down. So the other thing that is important, there is a fast part to slow down to go faster. And the fast part is experimentation. Change the scale, make the scale smaller. You don't just write a whole book. You write a book, a chapter, a page, a paragraph at a time. So one of the ways that any of us can make something happen is we can change the scale. We can break it down. We can experiment and we can learn fast. I think for me, that's how I get into action around stuff that might be too big. If you don't see yourself as a writer, starting a book can be daunting.
Right.
It is the blank page. Remember Kathy Quinn, who's an artist, who's also a coach. And what she does on every piece of blank canvas is she puts an errant mark to get started. And so make it happen is to get started or to continue on your journey of slowing down to go faster by taking one small step, breaking it down, learning from it, and continuing the momentum.
Jack Nicholson in The Shining, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, over and over and over again, before he went crazy, because he knew he had to be typing. He knew he had to be writing in order to be writing. And that's something that writers learn at an early age. If you don't have a pen in your hand, you're not going to write.
But it is work and play, and it is really balancing that tension. So all one or the other. And I think that's the other thing about living and leading intentionally is where in your life are you moving too slow? Where in your life are you moving too fast? And what are the indicators that you are moving in one direction or the other? The best way to do that is to have some space, to observe it, to assess it, and to modify it or adapt it.
The space for grace.
I don't know if you remember this story, but I was given a keynote before actually the TEDx, and it was on leadership, and it was to a fairly big group. And I used to engage both our children, but Rennie more because he's a little older and was more receptive to some of the work I was doing in my presentations. And I don't know if you remember this, but I tasked him with coming up with a really powerful quote that I could end my presentation with. I wanted to be really inspiring. And I don't know how old he was. He might have been 12. He thought about it for a minute. He goes, well, Dad, if you really want to be inspiring to this group that you have just been speaking to, shouldn't it be your own words and not someone else's? So I thought I had delegated, and he gave me the task back. And I played around with it for a while, and Rennie's into poetry. For some reason, I thought I'd write a poem. And so I wrote this, and I'd like to perhaps end this and make it happen because he made it happen for me. But it's slow down to go faster and deliberately create a life and a legacy that are infinitely great. Trust your innermost feelings in all of your dealings. Be true to your core, and you will always be more.
Remember the poem.
But he made it happen, and he kind of put the ball back in my court, the cart back in my hand. And but I think that was truly a much more inspiring way to make it happen.